I just found out my husband has a 2-year-old daughter he's never known about, and now I feel like my whole life is about to fall apart. My husband, 27M, and I, 27F, got together on October 16, 2022. He moved from Florida to Kansas to be with my son and me. A few months ago, we found out that I can't have more kids, and I'm actually scheduled for a medically necessary hysterectomy in early 2025. Well, today my husband's ex called me. I didn't know it was her until I answered, and she told me that her 2-year-old daughter is my husband's. She was conceived 2 months before my husband and I got together. She's in Florida. I'm not able to move to Florida due to my son's dad living here. I feel like the only option at this point is divorce. I won't leave my son behind to move to Florida, and I would never expect my husband to stay in Kansas and not be there to raise his daughter. I can't explain the amount of sadness I feel. I never in a million years saw this coming, and I don't even know what to do at this point. Top/relevant comments. Op and her husband need to get the paternity testing done before doing anything further. We are absolutely doing a paternity test before anything. I can 100% see it just being her trying to get him back, but the resemblance between the two is uncanny. We will definitely do the paternity test before making any decisions moving forward. Did Op's husband knew about his daughter? He had no clue about her. He didn't even know she had another baby. She says she didn't tell him due to him being abusive. Which, I am not her, so I don't know what she went through with him, except what he told me, and I won't speak for her, but he has never even once raised his voice at me. But again, I'm not her, so I'm not going to say she's right or wrong. Up on the timeline of when her husband was with the ex and the possibility of the child being conceived during his relationship with his ex. They broke up in December 2021 but hooked up a handful of times afterward. We are absolutely going to do a paternity test before anything. Op clarifies the details regarding the relationship between her husband and son. He's not the father of my son, but he's been in his life since right before he turned 2. He hasn't said much so far, and I'm not pushing anything. He just found out, and he's been on the road. He's a truck driver, so I'm sure his head is just spinning. I'll talk more about it with him tomorrow. Op responds to multiple comments about divorcing her husband. I've responded many times to this question. No, I was not going to divorce my husband because he has a child. I was not going to divorce my husband willingly, period. As mentioned many times, I was worried that he wouldn't be able to see his daughter while living in Kansas and would have to leave us to go be a father to his daughter, who deserves her father just as much as any other kid. And I've said many times, I posted here to make sure I didn't ignore my husband's feelings and emotions. I have been there for him and made him the priority here. I've stated this many times. Op adds an edit to her post. I want to first thank everyone for their kind and supportive comments. I wrote this when I had just found out and was imagining the worst. My brain was going 1,000 miles per hour. I wrote this to vent because my husband doesn't need to deal with me right now, he needs to be able to focus on his own feelings and thoughts. So I didn't want to bombard him. We've slept, we've talked, and everything is okay at this time. We've contacted a lawyer and are going to start the paternity process. We were able to get it in writing from his ex that she had no intention of ever telling him, did not want him in her life, and that she isn't going to share her daughter with him. The lawyer we spoke to said that there's definitely a chance he can have his parenting time in Kansas if he's the father, especially since she admitted she hid the daughter from him and didn't tell him until he had already been settled in Kansas for 2 years, with a solid job, a wife, and a stepchild. Again, thank you to everyone who was kind to me during my time of hysteria. Hopefully, this all works out for all of us. Update 2 days later. We talked with and hired an attorney yesterday. She will more than likely be served this week, and we will first schedule the paternity test. If it comes back that he's the father, then they will determine custody and child support. He said it should be a very quick process, as Florida is a 50-50 state and it's extremely rare for a judge to even consider negotiating with either party, as long as both parents seem fit. Especially with him not knowing these past 2 years and having it in writing that she never planned to tell him out of spite, he said the judge will have little to no sympathy for anything she says. The attorney said the most likely and typical scenario he sees in situations like this is that his daughter will spend 1 week in the spring, 5 weeks in the summer, and 2 weeks in the fall with us in Kansas, and every other holiday. He said there will not be any need to relocate. Top/relevant comments. Op clarifies on how long she knows her husband. I have known this man for 8 years. I have spent many vacations with him and his family in Florida over the past 8 years. He has known my son since my son was 4 months old. We didn't start a romantic relationship until October 2022. Op on the ex's family and how old are the other kids. She has 2 other kids, totaling 3 baby daddies, and the first 2 are in Florida. I'm honestly not 100% sure, I've never asked. I do know that my husband left her in 2021, the kid in question was from a random hookup, and she already had both kids. So I'd say the younger one is probably 4 or 5. Commenter. Why did you wait 2 years to tell him? She sounds like a wackadoo. First of all, if he is married to you, your marriage takes precedence. If this woman wants him in his daughter's life, which still needs to be confirmed, she can move to where you are. She doesn't get to call the shots. If you don't want to be married to him anymore, that's your decision. But this woman doesn't get to say, jump, and have everyone respond with, how high. I'm really sorry you're going through this. People make a mess of their lives and don't stop to think about the collateral damage. It's just selfishness. You sound like you are handling this well, and I wish you all the best. Prayers to you all. Ops response. I absolutely want to be married to him, child or not. She has no good excuse for not telling him except our relationship was toxic and I don't like you. We've talked to and hired an attorney, and he said if my husband is the father, long-distance parenting time will be in place and he doesn't have to move, so no worries for our marriage. She can't move because she has 2 other kids with 2 other baby daddies there. She asked me yesterday when my husband will be moving back to Florida to help raise the daughter and apologize for ruining my marriage, and was shocked when I said he's not. I'm on the fence about all of this. She could be his, but it also seems like she may just be trying to get him back. Hopefully, we will know soon. Has Op seen the pictures of the girl and if there are any resemblances between her husband and the child? After seeing more pictures, the resemblance is not uncanny. I don't see much of him in her at all. I think my brain was just forcing me to believe it, and that made me think they're super similar. Second update 4 days later. So much was uncovered today, and if you guys thought the situation was suspicious before, man, you're in for a surprise. But as of this evening, the case is officially open and a summons has been issued. So I'm going to stay quiet until this is over, just in case. Once everything is finalized, no matter how it may be finalized, I will create a new thread with an actual final update. Thank you, everyone, for the kind words and advice. We shall see what happens from here. Third update 3 months later. It's been a roller coaster over the last 3 months. But by next week, we will have official answers. DNA tests were done yesterday. They said results typically take 3 to 5 business days, but since they were done in 2 different states, expect closer to 5 to 8 business days. In the last 3 months, there have been a million new things come out and a million different stories. She and my husband had talked quite a bit until things hit the fan recently. She and I also talked quite a bit for a while. All friendly. She would text or call us frequently, and my husband and I agreed to keep the peace since she could potentially be a big part of our lives for a long time. It turns out she did tell my husband she was pregnant, prior to him and me getting together. She said the baby was probably not his. He asked if they could meet up and talk, and a couple of days later, she texted him saying she had a termination. They did not talk again after the conversation regarding her terminating the pregnancy. She admitted to me she did go to a consultation at a termination clinic, scheduled the termination for the next day, and then decided against it, but, according to what she told me, decided she was going to tell him she went through with it because she felt they wouldn't be able to co-parent well. The daughter has another man's last name, and that man is on the birth certificate, even though she has told my husband over a dozen times in the past 3 months that she has always known the daughter was my husband's. There's a ton more, but I don't want to make this post 6 hours long. My husband's attorney has already submitted proposed orders in case paternity comes back positive, so they can jump right into it. In his proposed orders, he included 50-50 legal and physical custody until she starts school, after a few months of visitations to let the daughter get to know my husband, with my husband flying with the child both ways. No child support if granted 50-50 physical custody, no back child support, as she has said multiple times that she never intended on telling him he had a child. And since there was another guy supporting the child these last 2 years, per her, he is still active in the child's life even though they aren't together. My husband would carry the child on health insurance, my husband's name would go on the birth certificate, and the daughter's last name would be changed to my husband's. His attorney has also talked about filing paternity fraud charges against her, since she has stated many times that she has always known, she just didn't want to co-parent with him, so she chose to put a different guy on the birth certificate, which caused my husband to miss out on 2 years of his potential child's life. If paternity comes back negative, his attorney is requesting that she pay us back all legal fees due to frivolous litigation. My emotions are insane right now waiting on these results. I, of course, would love and accept the child if she is my husband's. She would be accepted into our family immediately and treated and loved the same as my biological child. But the ex has texted my husband about how much she still loves him, how she always will, and how she just wants one-on-one time with him so they can try to reconnect. She has also texted and called me many times, saying she feels bad our marriage has to end. It isn't going to end. She's going to be a tough one to co-parent with if the child is his. But that's not the child's fault. And no matter what, we will get through it. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. She sounds manipulative and a little off. She's just trying to get back into his life. She thought this would ruin your marriage, and she's trying to weasel her way back in. There's no reason to be nice to her. If she suspected it, she should have said something years ago. I wouldn't be speaking to her, I'd let the lawyers handle it, and once you figure it out, go from there. She will be very destructive if you continue to feed into her. If the child is your husband's, they don't need to communicate on their own. They need a co-parenting app and should have conversations only about the child. No drama, no manipulation. Ops response. We stopped all communication with her about a month ago. Apparently, she and her boyfriend, the man on the birth certificate, broke up right before she called me about the child possibly being my husband's, so I'm skeptical. And he did request using app Close for communicating. My son's dad and I use it. I also think she's just trying to create drama and get him back. She also called me one night about it and told me she has to keep the papers she was served in her car so the other guy doesn't see them. So I don't think he knows about all of this. Fourth update 4 days later. Paternity tests are back. 0% probability that my husband is the father. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. I'm happy for you. Hopefully your husband is doing okay. I can see him being relieved about avoiding the drama, but also maybe a little hurt that he doesn't have a child with his DNA. Before I got pregnant after failed IVF, I was a little bitter that I wouldn't have a child of my own and only my stepson. I pray he doesn't feel that way, or that you both can work through it, whether it's through adoption together, a surrogate with his sperm, or counseling. Ops response. He actually isn't upset at all, thankfully. He has always wanted a kid with his DNA, but not with her. So he's relieved and just hopes the poor kid can figure out who her dad is one day. Commenter 2. What did the ex say about the results? Ops response. Since my husband paid for all 3 tests, she didn't get the results. He sent them to her, and she never replied. We will be taking her to court for attorney fees, and all communication is 100% done.